So good morning, everybody. Right now, we're here with the panel. Allison Griffith, Assistant Director of Neighborhood and Community Services at City of Tacoma. Amanda Walkingstick of the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force Speakers Bureau, and Marvin Vaughn, also of the Speakers Bureau. And we have Kevin Glacken, Coley, Director of Special Projects, Tacoma Pierce County Coalition to End Homelessness. And we should be joined by Garrett Nyland, the Director of Operations of the Pierce County Coalition to End Homelessness, in a short while. And I'm here with my group members, Leah Marie McKinney, Lancey Canley, Krista Hansen, Akuye Vargas, and Cindy Terry. I know, Lancey, you wanted to start us off with something?
Yes, the question I had, and I don't know who can answer, is, and you know, we don't have as much research as you guys do. We're just starting out. But I was wondering, when we deal with the homeless, and you know, we have about 40 homeless around our Evergreen State College, do we put them into groups? Drug addiction, job loss with COVID-19, what other groups, Otto? You know, just multiple groups, sex offenders, felonies that can't get into shelters. Do we put them in groups, or do we lump them all in one when we talk about the homeless and trying to help them and fix the problem?
And I just wanted to add, especially when it comes to funding, you know, where is that money being allocated? You know, all of these people have different needs and require different things in order to get off the street.
I'll hop in just quickly. I would say the first thing to do is to see them as individuals. Everybody who's on the street has a different story that led them to be there and why they're still there. And all those things that you listed out may be true for some or all. If, you know, domestic violence, loss of job, mental health issues, substance abuse. Some of those things may have been caused by and certainly exacerbated by being on the street. And so sometimes it's a defense mechanism. And then I would also say that because of that, there needs to be an array of options. And I think the phrase is available and appropriate. And I'll steal Garrett's line here that he often uses. You know, the heroin user with a Rottweiler, there needs to be a place for him or her to go that accepts someone who's using heroin and has a Rottweiler. Otherwise, it's not appropriate shelter. And so how do we design a system that has all those options? Whether, you know, I had a call the other day for someone who was a 15-year-old with a child, and that just complicated things because it's going across different systems. She couldn't stay in an adult shelter because she wasn't an adult. She couldn't go to an adult, she can go to a kid shelter because she was a parent. And so I think it's really starting with the person first, and then identifying the needs. So even a group of folks in a common encampment, they're all going to have different stories and reasons. They're self-identifying and grouping for reasons, but it's not because they all have the same thing that got them where they go, or that they need the same option to get out of it.
I'd also like to piggyback off of that, is that it's also going to be very important to kind of decide where and how you're going to approach grouping them. It may be quicker to take a look at the resources, see what qualifies for what. Like, this program's only for women, and this program's for LGBTQ+, and then going to the population and sitting down and saying, well, what's your story? And listening to individual hurdles. And from there, you'll already know where to place them and what resources they need. And it gives less of a perspective from the homelessness that, oh, this is just another person trying to group me in with somebody and trying to do this, that, and the other, but shows that you actually care about that individual and you're doing your best to kind of get them where they need to be versus what the system is designed to tell them they need to be.
And I think, Otto, the second part of that question that you had was about funding. And of course, a lot of funding towards various shelter models, various resources comes from the city, right? And we do look at kind of the breadth of what is needed to serve our populations. Kevin's exactly right that, and leaning on Garrett's kind of conversation around, we've got to have a system that serves folks across that broad spectrum. The city is working towards that, right? We're not there yet. I mean, we've had several conversations lately with council about establishment of sites that do serve folks that have, what we would tend to think of as higher barriers to housing, right? So like Kevin talked about, folks who are addicted to substances and may have a pet, or they might have a complicated family situation like Kevin was describing. So looking for opportunities to serve those folks is certainly something that the city continues to be engaged in. So I think to Lancey's question about do we lump folks all together, we know that lumping folks all together doesn't work, right? People experiencing homelessness are as unique as our folks who are housed, right? So having a solution that, goes to one band of people doesn't work for everybody.
But you also gotta you also gotta think about it that how you gonna catch their attention, because most people who's homeless, like I was, my attention span was slim. Like, so if anyone who had to catch my attention, you had to catch it fast. So any resource that was out there before, I had to do footwork for it. But there was nothing out there that popped, that made me take the interest for it. There was nobody out there that really took interest of people out there to make us drawn to them. I had nobody speak upon it or put posters up or anything. We had to do footwork just to find certain things. So you have to find, how can you catch their attention and on what? Like you guys were saying, like all of us have barriers from being drug addicts, heroin, being homeless for teens, getting kicked out, job loss. But there's nothing out there that really pops. Everybody got to find certain things from word of mouth, but there's nothing out there that shines in a bright light that says, hey, we got this resource right here. We can help you with this. It goes in the slim. And then next thing you know, the funding from the city or from the state, they cut it for some other reasons. So we got to catch the attention of the people out here, and how we going to do that?
Thank you, Marvin. My name is Cindy, and that's great that you're saying that, because a lot of our group members, we're going to put out flyers, and that just made me smile to know that we are going in the right direction with the resources on there to help you all know where to go, what times you can go to in those type of needs, because we were like kind of unsure on what we should all put on the flyers. But as long as you're saying something that can catch your attention, so I feel like our flyers are going to be very good attention grabbers, and that can help as well. With that being said, another one of our concerns were, with our student number dropping low due to the homelessness on the side of the campus. I know they're going to put up washing hand stations and bathrooms that are going to be within a fence, but one of the safety measures are there going to be cameras, in the fence as well, outside of the fence, like for our schooling, the safetyness of that. And yes, they have security officers, but they're only going to be there from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. When people find that regimen of, okay, well, we have this time frame to this time frame to do that, what will be a safety measure within those time frames when we don't have security there? Or how can we fix that solution so that everybody feels safe in the community?
Yeah, and Cindy, generally we would not want to look at implementing cameras and something like that, because generally we're going to see a decline in folks wanting to use the services, right, that are provided to them if they're being, observed or feel like they're being kind of, having their privacy invaded in that sense. So what we have seen in our other 2 operating hygiene station locations, so at 8th and Yakima and I-705 and A Street, we actually have gone ahead and moved to a 24/7 security model in both those locations because particularly with the weather getting warmer, we're seeing higher use of those stations, right? So not necessarily just by the folks living in the adjacent encampment, but folks coming during the day. They may be coming to visit individuals in the encampment. They may just be neighbors, right, walking through. So we are seeing increased use, and so for that reason, have shifted to a 24/7 model. We're still looking at whether we're going to launch at Evergreen. We're still in conversations with some community providers. So that would be a conversation with the provider in that location and kind of what do we do in the off hours and kind of what does that look like.
And if I could piggyback on what both Allison and Marvin said, I think part of the thing when you hear security, I think it's often used as in how do we help keep the community safe from the folks who are homeless. And I'd like to reframe that as how do we keep the community safe? And the community is those of us who are housed and unhoused. And you know that clearly up at your campus when there was a person living homeless who was killed by a housed neighbor.
Right.
And so it's not, I think it's not an ideal situation to have people living out in the open like that. It's not safe for them, and it's not safe for the people coming by them and going to businesses or schools or homes. So I think that broader approach helps get away from the us and them. And then I think Marvin had a great point. The attention span, I mean, that's not just for folks who are homeless. If I'm trying to make a change in my life, I have to be wanting to make the change when the way to make the change is available. And those things don't often always line up. And so it may take a couple of different times. And I think that's where it goes back to an individual relationship. It can be overwhelming to say, how do I solve homelessness? But I've gotten to know Jane or Bill or Jack or whoever, and they've gotten to know me a little bit, and then we can start to have that conversation. So it's not even approaching, there are 40 people outside my school, but there's one person that I know. And I can talk to Kevin and get a sense for who Kevin is and what Kevin needs. And then I hear of a resource, and it's going to take a number of times. I first started in Tacoma at Nativity House back in 1984 when it was just a little storefront. And really, most of what we did was just sit and give a safe place for folks in conversation. And then over time, they got to trust us, and we got to know each other enough that we could offer the resources. I think if people think you're just there to do a good deed, they may be happy that you brought whatever, the coffee or the food or the blanket, but I think it's more important if you see them and they see you as people. And that takes time. And that's kind of what I think folks who aren't service providers can offer in a way that service providers, it's a little bit harder because they're seeing it as, oh, you're here because it's your job. Whereas if you're getting to know the person there and have a relationship, you also need to have protections and barriers. You need to have someone helping you figure out, am I being conned or anything? You can't just jump in blindly, but I think it really starts on the one-to-one.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I just wanted to add, we are seeing that at campus too. A lot of the folks who are living there are either refusing the services, and I think a lot of that is maybe just because of distrust of the community providers or feeling that they are just there for their jobs. So, I do feel that before folks are going back for in-person learning, that is what it's going to take. It's going to take individuals going and talking to these folks that are living there right now.
I am going to be 100% honest and blunt with you. If you put up cameras, there will be problems. And that is because that it is an invasion of privacy for the homeless. And we are used to people targeting us. We are used to house people targeting us. I mean, just last night, I got news of a really good friend of mine that him and his dad were murdered because they're homeless. And so when you start encroaching on those kinds of privacy things, when they already don't have privacy,
Mhm.
that's when you start seeing the violent outbursts. Your cameras will get broken, the campus will start getting trashed. And honestly, it really goes back to what Kevin says. You have to establish a trusting relationship with them. You know, you may not drink, but you can buy a single beer and go offer it to them and say, hey man, here's this. You want to listen to some music? I'll play some on my phone. Tell me your story. And it's in doing that, that for one, you're taking them out of the stigma of, oh, you're an addict. Anything I give you, you're gonna spend to drugs. You're saying, hey, you're a normal person. Why don't we chat? You know, you're humanizing them. We are so used to being dehumanized and brushed over. The relationship with service providers is a mess. And I mean, there's distrust there because a lot of times there's no follow-up. We're required to advocate for ourselves, but we don't know how to do that in the situation of being homeless. We're too busy worried about where our next meal comes from. We're too worried about, is somebody gonna attack me today? Where am I gonna sleep? For me, I had a dog. Am I gonna have enough dog food today? Because she ate before I did every time. And it's all of these different factors. And so building a trusting relationship is so important. And of course, you're going to get the people who are willing to work with you and build that relationship. And you're going to have the people who aren't, because everybody's different. They're in different stages, they're in different mindsets. But within the homeless community, in any homeless community I've been in, and that's from up to Seattle down to Berkeley, California, there is a hierarchy. There are people who kind of help manage the group. And if you're seen as a trusted person and somebody who's trying to really help and somebody who actually cares about them, then this group will automatically start supporting you and do what they can to police their own people.
Yep, that is true.
I gotta say that the dean said that we haven't had any break-ins, no crime around our campus. The homeless haven't touched anything with that school. One of our concerns is with them, with everything, the students declining there, but and the homeless around there, we're not afraid to sit in class and have it in the parking lot. We're not afraid of that at all. And we've talked about that. Maybe we need to be present sitting. We've been empty for how long with COVID-19? Maybe we need to sit there and do study groups in social distancing in the parking lot, and the homeless are around us, and maybe that will rub off on them of, you know, maybe the new normal, you know, because the pandemic is scary, and everybody's scared, not just us, but the homeless are scared. And our biggest concern is if the homeless camp did get moved, they would just move and not have a solution to the problem. And we care whether they're around our campus or if they're in Wrights Park or wherever they move them to. We want a solution to the problem to help them, not move them and take them out of the way and hide them under a tree to where they're not seen and our problem is covered up. So, you know, that's a concern we have also.
I can say, like, just keep on being hands-on. Like you said, that homeless always keep getting moved. And like Amanda said, like we always keep on getting writing off like outcasts. And so when people do that to us, we don't even care no more. We stop caring about whatever around us because you keep moving us. You keep on shutting us out. So why are we going to keep coming to you or keep on? So if any advocate who come towards us, we're just going to keep pushing them off because we kept getting pushed off. So that's why I kept on saying, what's the attention at? Where's somebody who's going to grab our attention that's going to move us around? Because we want somebody to tell us where to go. We want somebody to tell us how we're going to get out of this. But we're scared to even tell you that we want help. But if you get in our face and pop some attention to us, oh yeah, we're right there in your face 24/7. I'm knocking at your door like, hey, what's up? How can I go do this? I need to take a shower. You got to borrow soap, you know? So the more people be more hands-on with it, I'm coming to you full force because now I'm starting to see that you're for real. That was on my end. I need to see a helper that was for real, to be hands-on with me, regardless of all my addiction, regardless of me being in and out of jail. I need to see somebody who will be consistent with me to make me consistent. If you're not consistent, why should I be consistent? I'm gonna stay homeless then. So it was hard. So you had to do footwork and footwork and footwork. You got to keep doing this. I wrote letters to almost every housing agency in Pierce County Jail and the Squally. I wrote to shelters. I wrote to anything to keep my name on the list because I was the only one. But then when I got diagnosed with HIV and got to PCAF, I got caseworkers that actually did the footwork for me. But I was still being an addict, and I was like, I'm not gonna listen to you. But they kept pressing me about it. What you doing? Where you at? Well, how's you living? Are you hungry? Here's some food. Here's a toothbrush. You want this? They did that so much. I was like, can I have this, please? I need this. I need that, to the point where I kept going more and often, to the point just to sit in the office, just because I don't even know what I want. I just want to sit in your office because I feel comfortable here. I got everything I need in this office. So the more they kept doing that, the more I started changing my life, because they started putting more investment in me. They kept saying, Marvin, where you at? What you doing? You don't look right. This and this and that. Why are you doing this? Okay, that's okay. You messed up. Let's keep going. Let's do this. They kept pressing and kept pressing. They didn't move me. They didn't say, here, we're going to push you this way. They didn't say, no, can't deal with you no more. They kept me right there. And that's what made me. They gave me all the attention what I needed at that moment. And now these days, providers not even doing the footwork for them. They're not even meeting them halfway. They already writing them off. You got some counselors don't even know about heroin, don't even know about homelessness. And because they don't know it, they're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have nothing for you. We don't have no funding. But then you go fund this next person who's sober for housing just because this person is, it's mixed up. That's just my point, my opinion.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That was
Yes.
real deep, and that's what we need. That's what we need. People like you out there to tell it like it is, and sharing their personal stories goes a long ways.
And you just feathered Marvin, you're like a light, you're a star, you're going to shine bright, because that just lets us know that we are on the right track, even though we're trying to get everything in order to do this. But the things that we have lined up, we're on the right track. And me and Lancey were just talking about, like, yo, we're about to be on these people. We're about to get them. Like, I even told the dean, like, maybe they want to join school. Like, she was like, oh, I've never even thought about it like that. And it took me at least 10 times for it to register in her head. And I feel like, Marvin, you would be a great student. You should come to Evergreen. If you need help signing up, hit me up. I don't know how to get I'll give you my number. I'll give you my email. I don't know what resources you have to communicate. Clearly you're on Zoom, so you have some way of getting, help with being online. So I can put my email and my phone number in the chat. I'll call you to say, hey, how you're doing? I'll be accountable, because we need that in our life. I'll check up on you just like you're checking up on you. I'll be that person. I'm a stalker. So, if you don't want, I'll be like, hey, what you doing? Where you at? You okay?
See, right there, what you just did right there, that's exactly what homeless need. Exactly what you just did. You know what I'm saying? You was yourself, your personality popped, you brought the attention, that energy. People gonna be like, hey girl, what's up? Okay. Let me get that flyer. Let me see that. They're gonna start popping with you,
Yes. So I got you.
Well, he just wrote me. He said we need to get a case of beer. We got to get a case of beer.
Right. I was like, we're about to go to Costco. Oh man, I'm like happy with tears of joy. Like this, we were worried, but I told my group, I said, it's all gonna work out in our favor, and look at it. I'm thrilled that you guys are able to join us. I'm happy that we're getting to speaking to you one-on-one, and that you guys are giving us this beautiful information. Like I said, this just lets us know that it's not just a project for us, that we want to continue this for our kids and our kids' kids, so they can say, hey, we at Evergreen, we build a legacy, just not for our school, but for our family. And like I tell everybody, once you're a part of Evergreen, you're a family, because we see each other so often every day. We spend majority talking and texting each other than we do our real family sometimes. So like I said, Marvin, I'm going to be accountable for you, and then we can go out and hey, you can let me meet some of your friends. And then, that's how we start this. It's a one-by-one individual, step by step. So I'm game with it. And I know Lancy is, and I know Otto is, and the rest of our group members as well. So anything to help, we're there, man.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And when I think about the homeless, I think about when I grew up in Tillicum and on the hilltop, and I thought I was only as good as that. I didn't think I could go to college. So when I got my high school diploma at 39, and then I went to Pierce and got my associate's degree, and then I came to Evergreen, and this is like a big, huge family. It's a lot of support. I remember a doctor telling me I didn't think I could be a doctor. I didn't think I could be anything. I just thought I could be on welfare waiting at the mailbox for that next check, But when my doctor told me, surround yourself in the place you want to be, I think about the homeless, and I'm like, we got to surround ourselves in the place they want to be so they can see where they could, So I think that's what we really need to do.
Lancy, that's so profound. And I think one of the things that, and again, this is a thinking thing because I grew up middle class, and I am middle class now and everything. But I think that one of the things that chronic poverty especially does to folks is it limits their horizon. And you can only become what you think you can become. And so you need to have somebody, and it could just be one person. And I know that even with all the advantages I had going in, I needed those people in my life to help me recognize what I could do, because I didn't have enough trust and faith in myself. And you add all the other things about racism, sexism, systemic poverty, the whole list of things, and you first have to get people have to believe it's possible, and that starts with a relationship. And sometimes that's why systems work are hard, because you're talking about large groups of people and trying to solve a problem, whereas when you're coming at it on an individual level, it's, what does Marvin need? And Marvin needed Simi to say, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to stalk you in a positive way. I'm just checking in to see what you need. I need that in my life. That's not just a homeless thing. And so it's just those support systems aren't there. So how can you build that, and then build the trust, as Marvin was saying, so that people can then step out and take that next step, and then take that next step.
I'd also like to add on to that too, is that, there's a step that comes before helping a homeless individual person believe in themselves and what they can accomplish. And that step is an adjustment period, especially with chronic homelessness. I was homeless from 14 to 20. I am now 28. I had my son about 4 years ago, so I was still pretty fresh off the streets. And I've only really started going back to school and getting involved in my community about 1.5 years ago. And the thing about that is that I had to go through an adjustment period. My whole life was the streets. That's what raised me. That's what I knew. So as I tried to integrate myself into society, I was still being pushed back because the cultures are so incredibly different. And what was okay for society wasn't okay for the homeless community. And there was this constant disconnect. A big example I use is that, it's very well known the homeless people have weapons, that kind of thing. We have it for our protection. And so when somebody gets a new knife or whatever, you're in the group, we're all checking it out, practicing throwing, whatever. So it's normal. And I was in a group of people who had never been homeless, didn't know anything. And I had gotten a new knife, and I was like, check this out, guys. And apparently I scared everyone. And somebody pulled me aside and was like, you need to put that away. We're scared. And I was like, well, why? I didn't get it. I didn't get it till years later, as I started going into society more. And it's this moment where you sit there and you go, oh, these are two completely different lifestyles, two complete different rules. I mean, society actually calls the police when there's a problem. A homeless person won't, And it's just these small basic things, and I had to learn how to interact with people in society. I had to learn the rules, I had to learn the mannerisms, you know, all these things that my parents should have taught me, that I had to figure it out on my own. And I pretty much, you know, just stayed being a stay-at-home mom, you know, locked away from everybody for a long time. And as I slowly tried to figure it out, and it was incredibly difficult, you know, and couple that with my chronic depression and anxiety and, you know, all my trauma, it was hard. And I had to do it by myself. I didn't have a service provider come and help me. You know who helped me? Two random beautiful women from California who said, "You're coming to live with me and we're going to take care of you now. You have a home no matter what." And they helped me and they coached me through the process. Even after I came back to Washington, you know, we still talk almost every day. You know, the kids know who their aunties are. And that was it, you know. And everybody goes through the process differently. Everybody has different traumas they're bringing. Different groups of homelessness have slightly different rules, and it's really difficult. And then to top it off, you go into a program and they want you to get a job right away. They want to throw you into society and be like, "All right, you're good, we're done." But that's not how it works. I had such a hard time holding a job before I actually got my mental health in a safe place. And, you know, this isn't some speedy process. This is a long, drawn out process that takes a lot of work and requires a lot of support that just isn't available for the individual at this point in time.
I just wanted to jump in and say we are approaching our 30-minute mark. I did want to just point out something that Garrett put in the chat. People experiencing homelessness are no more likely to commit a violent crime than anyone else in the community. They're much more likely to be a victim of a violent crime. Garrett, would you like to say anything more on that before we have to end this?
And that's some good research that's been done in other communities. I don't have research data in Washington State or Pierce County particularly. Property crimes are another story, right? Property crimes are up a little bit higher, but I think that sense that people have of them being in danger with people experiencing homelessness in their community is just you know, a narrative that people create in their head that just doesn't have a connection to reality. That's, I think, worth, you know, pushing back on pretty regularly.
Thank you all again so much for coming and talking with us today. I think we're going to have to end this here, unfortunately.
And I'll stalk you too, Kevin.
But keeping this conversation going, it won't stop here. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And we'd love to join you guys in the future with any projects or anything you have going on.
Wow, that was fantastic.
Thank you, Dr. Shepherd.
I mean, are we going to be able to say something to this team that did this work?
You're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
I thought, I mean, you went straight to the subject. You went to people who have experienced with homelessness or houselessness, but also to folks. It wasn't slow fade into gore. It was also people who work with folks who have been homeless and gave us advice about how to what we need to do. It wasn't like, oh, it wasn't just solidarity, it was possibility. And then to connect it with our real experience here at Evergreen State College, Tacoma. I don't know if everybody's been around the campus lately. I haven't, but I hear about it, right? And to hear that you all have included that as, okay, this is what's happening. What about this? What about cameras? What about this? What about this? And to have someone who has been homeless, to have someone who works with folks in the resources, this is really ethnographic research, critical ethnography. You know, I know not all of you took the class, but I mean, this is what, if you all didn't see our films, this would be one of the films, I hope. This is an example of critical ethnography, not just what is, but what can be. So I'm so proud of this team. Anybody else who's not on the team that can, I'm outdone. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Dr. Shepherd,
Yes.
this is Akuye. Hey family, how y'all doing? Everybody doing good?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, what are some things that we could have I would say dove deeper into with the project? Things that, you know, because I know that, are there things that people want to know that they're afraid to ask the homeless, you know, personal things? You know, I always, you know, I always just go to the place of how do we get a greater understanding, and how do we open the conversation? How do we begin to break down those barriers to be able to address and get to the core of things and concerns and even fears? You know, why do people fear the homeless? Why do they just want them invisible or out of the way? You know, things like that. Just the conversation.
I'm not going to be the only one that talks. I'm going to silence myself. I want to hear. It's a very good question.
Can I say something, Dr. Shepherd?
This is not my panel. I'm like you. I'm a guest. I'm a student.
Oh,
They're the teachers.
okay.
No, this is
Okay.
not, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I think the group did a very good job. It was very informational for me. I think you asked all the right questions. You got down. Not only did you just do research on your computers, you actually got into the city, got down to the nitty gritty of the situation to try and find solutions. And that's the only thing that I think right now, we just need solutions. We need solutions and positive solutions. And I think you guys are executing it in a very fine way, and continue this research and continue to try and get out there in your communities and help. That's what, find out who the community leaders are, find out who these people that are organizing is, and see what we can do to make our communities better, and not just try and make these people invisible. See what we need to do to get them to receive the help that is being offered. It was awesome, guys. You guys did a very wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
you know,
you.
like Lancy said at the end of that panel, you know, work doesn't stop here, right? And I think just all of us in the group learned so much doing this, and learned so much from our speakers. And you know, the more we work on things like this, the more we'll all learn, you know.
Yes, and I know we appreciate Garrett so much because he was our main guy we went to. We stalked Garrett so much. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna get tired of us, huh, Lancy? And she was like, well, he said anytime we needed his help. And I'm like, okay. But
Yeah.
I do thank you guys. And maybe we talked to the dean, and we actually started a club. So If any of our Evergreen students would like to join, I can put my information into the chat box so that we can continue this like we stated, and so that you guys can be a part of it too. Because like the mayor said in the beginning of our conversation, we actually start work within and not when we're done graduating. And this is proof of the facts right here.
Hopefully we can find a way in the next couple quarters to be a little more public about that, the beginnings of that club, because we just kind of started the process of thinking about that. So hopefully we can share that with all Evergreen students, especially in the fall, you know, when we're in person and we're not just going to be on our laptops anymore. We're going to be in downtown Tacoma. So.
Oh, yeah, I mean, especially if you guys are starting a club, this is transformative justice. Okay, it's not just restorative justice. This is excellent research this group is doing, right? And for a city to say, oh, and by the way, would you like to come to Evergreen State College? You know, that is really working across significant differences. So Karen, your question, what could we go deeper into? I don't know, because I mean, I don't know what you did unturned. This was so, you know, I see Dr. McCrary is here, I see Marla is here, you know, we as members of the staff, we are just so proud of you. And I think Trey is here, but he can't talk. We're so proud of this research. My God, this is fabulous.
Yeah, Dr. Shepard, we didn't want to sugarcoat anything. So we wanted to like get straight to the point, because we feel like a lot of people in the community, maybe they're trying to be very professional, but sometimes that can hurt you in the end. You got to tell it like it is and bring up things that people don't want to talk about and keep that conversation going. And it makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it may be helping the homeless.
Right.
Yeah, I had to go up to the college. I didn't realize, my dad lives up there. I didn't even realize that they were around the college. And then Leah said, have you seen it? And then we said, one of us will go up there and see. And so I was the one that got to go, and I went to see it. And it really hurt my heart that that's why I brought up, you know, do we categorize them? Because we feel like they should, because sometimes programs do put homeless in one group, and then some are left out and they're on the street. And so if we can separate them into the help that they need, instead of saying homeless as one, then we would get a little bit further.
And just to tap in on that, we started off with something different, and it transpired into this. We were like, wait, our beginning research and all the results and everything that we first started, it turned into something way more than what we expected. And we're just so grateful that we have all these people involved and willing to be involved with us. And that's like a great feeling, because from what we've been told, that people have been trying to touch on this subject for a while and it's being dismissed. And to know that this group, we are reaching out to the people, and the people are really proud of us and are willing to help us.
Yeah, and it was nice, because when we finally realized that we had people in our group, maybe they weren't want to tell it like it is, like some of us, you know, being nice, and we couldn't understand, you know, and they had already worked on this, and they were trying so hard to get the word out, you know, and then they ended up in our group and then told us what they had done, and we're like, oh my God, wait, you guys should have said that in the beginning. You guys could have been so much help. Like, and then we got the help in the end. They told us what was going on previously, and now we knew, you know.
Oh God, this is excellent, this work. And to talk about your research process like that, I mean, that's what research is. That's why it's called research, right? You start off in something. I mean, Dr. Smith always says that, you know, if you have changed your research, you're doing really good research, right? If you had the courage to take the risk and really put your ear to the ground of what you are looking for. You know what I mean? I mean, that really chops away at the biases. You're not looking for something to make your question the answer, what you want it to be. You're putting out this question to explore things. And that's what you all did. And to hear that, and I hope you put that in your discussion of your paper, or will, that we started out this way, but this is what we came up. That gives your research the oomph that we want, right? That's the risk we take when we do research. That makes my heart sing. That's fabulous.
Yeah, because we put a lot of work into it and had to change it a little bit in the end because we got so into this and we were like, wow, we can't, we're new to this. That's why we said we're new to this. And we see the homeless, but we've never done research on it. We really sometimes forget that it's right in front of our face and in our backyard. And what homeless may look like isn't just in a tent. Sometimes it's a little different, but
right.
we're all the same. We all want to be successful. We all want to do better, but some take longer. Some need more resources than others.
Right. Oh, this is so good. Marla came here thinking, oh, this is nice to see you on your films, Dr. Shepherd. I said, no, this is not my film. This is the students did on their own. So we're like, yes.
I was in your class, Dr. Shepherd. I took the ethnography
I
class.
know you did.
It
Well, you
paid off.
start doing critical ethnography. You all are just, I'm outdone. I'm so proud. And you're not letting it down. You're going to have a group. And then Otto says, maybe in the fall when we get to, you guys got future. This is great. Great, great, great.
Any other questions or comments or anything that we can answer for y'all?
I had a comment.
Go ahead. Okay.
As a graduate, I'm just blown away by your presentation. And this is exactly this type of work, this type of research, what you put together is exactly what Evergreen is about in the space to create something like this. And I'm just really, my hat's off to you guys. This was an incredible piece of work that you put together. Good job.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. And just to say something to that, it makes me so happy knowing that too, that Evergreen gave us the space to do something like this. I can see how, I've gone to other institutions and learning institutions, and I can see how, with time constraints and barriers and restrictions may have limited the research that we were able to do, and we weren't given, we weren't constrained at all doing this. We had months of time to get to the root of this, and this project evolved from focusing way more on COVID-19, and then finding out that the root of people not receiving what they need in the time of a pandemic is the misconceptions of people, right, of other people. And so I don't know if we would have had the time and everything to do this otherwise.
Yeah, and to be able to take something that you felt passionate about and be given the opportunity to say, hey, here's this project, figure out what you're passionate about, what you want to do, and then we're going to give you the time to do it, and we're going to make sure you learn from it and you help others. And we wouldn't have got that anywhere else.
We are a true Sankofa family.
It's like contagious.
And people woke up talking about why you guys text 72 times. We were texting all through the night, all through the day, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this done no matter what, no matter all the other stuff. I said we might be late on some other school homework, but I know we're gonna get it done. I was like, we're gonna group with each other to get it done, but we gotta get this done because we're like, we have to stand out. We want to stand out. This is just not a project for us. This is something that we're going to continue and continue and continue and have other students continue. So we were like, we're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. And like I told my group, I always had faith in this from the jump, despite our challenges, despite people coming in and out our group and everything. And we did it. And you guys are telling us that we did a great job. And I am so happy. Like I keep throwing up like my hands like, yay, we did it, guys. All this staying up to 2:00 in the morning, rechanging stuff. It paid off. Me complaining to Lancey about, oh my God, girl, I'm struggling. I just got off of work, but I'm gonna do this part. It paid off. And I'm so grateful that it paid off.
Hey, family, this is one thing. When we were interviewing, I saw the interviewees, how much life it brought to them, to have us just talking to them and just concerned about them and wanting to hear their voices. And that, I almost cried just to because, you know, what I heard was, you know, don't nobody really care about us. And you know, by us just saying hey and just having that real conversation with them and valuing them. That's what, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's transformational. That is shifting the narrative by empowering those that are in those circumstances to understand that, you know, we humanize them. We said, you're not invisible. We see you. We see you. And I'm excited about how we'll begin to do, whether it's community PSAs, to have our community leaders calling them into accountability, to have these conversations. I mean, there's so many different, I'm excited because there's a paradigm shift here. There's a paradigm shift that there's just been a shift here. So where will we go? How will we move forward? Because the paradigm has been shifted and we can't allow that momentum to just stop just because we finished our spring fair presentation, because we got to give life. This is a life-giving project. And so I just wanted to speak that to the team because everybody did such a magnificent job. The heart was in there. This was heart work that I saw as we begin in the shift. And I saw it shift from getting demographics and getting data to reaching those individuals and those souls that and really allowing them to be heard. And I commend everybody that was so passionate about everything. And you know, we started off rocky with some of the people we interviewed. So I ain't gonna go there because I didn't know what to say to some of it, but you know.
But that's great research. I hope you guys put this in your summation and your evaluation, what you're saying. And in the discussion of your research paper, this is truly, you all experienced and conducted from true research. I mean, so you guys got slides for us too?
We do. It's uploaded to the, oh, go ahead, Otto.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, we can show them if we can still. It's 5. I don't know if it's just gonna go as long as we want. I don't know.
Yeah, the sky's the
And I have to say, and I have to give a shout out to Leah Marie because she helped us get all this on the right track because we had everything, but she went in there and was like, you guys, you need to reconstruct this like this, and you need to reconstruct this like this. She was like the mother may I of our project because she was like, no, no, no. She's like, I don't want to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but we're like, no, girl, tell her how it is so we can fix this and we're going to get it right. So I am grateful for having Leah Marie on our team as well, because she was like, I'm not going to put my hands in it because I'm graduating and I don't want to do this. So just her taking the time to make sure we had our results page done, our methodology done correctly, our everything that's done on our slideshow is due to Leah Marie being in the correct order, and I have to acknowledge you for that, girl. I appreciate you. Otto appreciate you, and Lancy
Yeah, she really stepped up.
Appreciate you. This is our give back because you undergraduate. So we thank you for taking your time out to doing that because you didn't have to do that.
Yes, thank you. Thank God.
Thank you. That was really nice of you guys. I think the only thing you'll be happy about never hearing from me again is cite. Like,
oh yes.
Constantly, cite this. No,
look, I will say everything from day forward. Okay, you got me. I'm be like, Leah Marie, is this right? I'm gonna always text you and say, is this right?
Before I gotta change my number now. Yo, this was 100% you guys, and I said that all the way. Every person that's in this room right now gave like all of it. Like that's why I was trying to be as hands off as possible because I did not want to change your narrative. It was beautiful and it evolves, and I'm just glad I got to see that. And I'm truly impressed. If anything, I clicked a few buttons to edit, and you guys did everything. That's really all you. I've been saying this the longest time is congratulations for getting this.
Stop it, Leah.
So quickly. So well done.
You guys need
a lot. Really helped us a lot.
Evaluation. This is the group from heaven. I mean, you all are acknowledging you had some problems, and then you're talking about how you solved them and stuck to it. And then you're going to continue with this. This is so fantastic. I see some faculty coming and staff. You guys missed okay. I know you saw some wonderful things, so I'm not saying you missed anything, but this is such a great group. I couldn't leave. I was like, oh, I got to stay in this group. So you're going to show us your slides now?
Yeah, go ahead, Otto.
Beautiful critical ethnography film that they did. Phenomenal.
Sure, I'll go ahead and screen share our slides real quick. We can, Lancy, Cindy, whatever we want to do, we can read through them or just flip through them and let folks read it on their own, whatever works.
Okay.
Is Trey in here?
Why don't you ask him to chat because he can't talk, G.
Okay. My bad.
No problem. You want to mute yourself?
Go ahead and read this real quick. This was just kind of our start of this with mandated physical distancing restrictions in place for much of 2020. Shelters and other spaces have caused an increase for those forced to live outside. And that's really where we started with this whole thing was trying to figure out, are there more people outside because of this pandemic? And then it led into all of what followed.
Hey, Otto, can you go to the first page or the first slide?
Sure.
So you can see that we
first page here.
So this spoke, this was evergreen. We started
very powerful.
This is how evergreen looks now?
They're moved around the perimeter of the college, and it's more than that.
It's on the side of the college. So they're not on our camp. So they're not on the parking lot anymore. They're on the back side of the college. I can't think of that street.
No, I
name.
know.
You know, even when I went up there to see it, my husband was like,
L&M.
I'll record it. And I said, no, I said, these are people. We're not going to record this. I cannot record this at all. This is something I don't want to disrespect them, or, they're at home. That's rude. So, I didn't record it.
That's critical ethnography.
And they're not even, I've been up there several times to go see Lee Marie, and they, they just ask for simple things. Do you got $1? Do you got a beer? Do you got a cigarette? Do you got this? I mean, they don't, I wasn't scared at all either going up there by myself to get books. I was like, if I got $1, here you go. And then, like I seen a family, a mother with kids, and, she was just, she was looking in the garbage can, and that made me sad. And I had food and chips and soda in my car, and I just gave it to her. I was like, my kids can go without. This is a privilege, and these kids haven't had this in a long time. And the mom was just so humble. And it wasn't even about, trying to get recognition. It was just, I seen kids, I have kids. I know how that feels not to have stuff for your children that you were able to have at one point in time. And, her kids, and she was so grateful for just that little thing that some kids take for granted these days.
There was once these two guys who would sleep in our doorway. This is when we were at the campus, and they would always be there, right? And so, but they would come when school was out, right? And sometimes I would stay till like maybe 11 in the campus, in my office. And once one of the members, once somebody misplaced their laptop and left it outside, and one of the homeless persons saved the laptop for them and gave it back to them the next day. You see, and is that the profile that we have of homeless people? It's like it's what do we do? What do we do? I mean, I think about, it makes me question myself too, right? It's very interesting. Anyway.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Saved the laptop, kept it. And then
Yeah.
the next day, oh, you left this. Okay.
That says a lot.
Yeah. I saw this one guy reading all the time and had an extra one of our novels and gave it to them, right? And it's just like Cindy said, you want to go to school? Anyway, I'm sorry. This is
It makes
moved me so much in this.
But yeah, and we're thinking like you want to go to school because it's like right in our neighborhood, and we feel like, wow, we got this huge opportunity to be able to be students at Evergreen, and this is right in our front of our eyes, and we're learning something from this. But our numbers are going down. We don't want our school to close. We want people to be able to see how amazing this place is. So, what can we do about this on our end and their end?
I love it. You guys are making my heart sing. I'm trying not to cry. This is so beautiful. Woo.
If you want to go to the next slide, Otto.
Cindy or Lancy, if you want to do some narration, and I can run back and change slides. I just have to step away from my laptop for a bit.
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. We just can't navigate it because I believe it's on your end.
I can still switch between slides. I'm just moving around a little bit.
Okay. So I guess it will be slide number 3.
Do you want me to switch or?
Yes, please.
Okay. So just ran back.
Sorry, we had to take a little detour only because Otto is stepping away from the computer. So we're gonna change it up just a little bit for y'all.
Yeah, I do want to just say one thing about this slide. This was really interesting that we found that there was no unsheltered survey conducted this year in Pierce County. So it just ended up, there's so many people unaccounted for this year who were living outside. And that was just one thing we tried to bring some attention to is, you know, the numbers no doubt grew this year, but COVID, just how it interrupted everything else in the world this last year, it also interrupted that. We were thinking we could show that panel another time, or one more time, if there's some people here who would want to see it, or we can go through a couple more slides here. If anybody who is in the room right now who hasn't seen it, who would like to, just speak up and let us know.
In the chat, there's one person in the chat that said I would. Dr. Lee said she was presenting, so she was a little late. Yeah, there's a couple people in here, Otto, that's saying, yeah, they would like to see it.
Sure. I'd be happy to show it again one more time. I don't know how much of it we'll get through since
Right.
breakout rooms might close while it's going on, but I'm gonna start it anyway and see how far we get.
And just a quick side note, anybody who's interested in that lit review where they're talking about the data sheet and the info sheets, and also it's redisplayed in the results, that go to the reference page. It has all the links for those websites, like I said, even the PDFs, so that you can access them if you're interested in pursuing more research into, you know, those numbers and where they come from or where they may evolve to.
Thank you for that, Lee Marie. And also, you know, of those slides I didn't just share screen. The discussion and conclusion, especially, are really worth looking at on your own time if you feel like it. Yeah, I think they will be up on the Spring Fair website for quite a while. So